Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter. For years I've seen people confused if affinity or attack up is better, if a weapon with lower sharpness but higher affinity is better, and so on. The math isn't complicated, so I wanted to try to make another video to try to make it super simple to understand so that everybody can be empowered to know how strong their weapons are. Affinity. In Monster Hunter, affinity is the percentage chance that an attack that you land is a critical hit, which is worth 1.25 times damage or 25% stronger. So if you have a 10% affinity, it means that you have a 10% chance to land a critical hit. If your weapon has no affinity, you will never land a critical hit. Because we're talking about a game of chance here, there's no real way to output the damage of your weapon. So what we can do is generalize. So if we have 10% affinity, we can say, let's say we do 100 damage with our weapon, 9 out of 10 times it'll be 100, 1 out of 10 it'll be 125. If we average it out, we get 102.5. This is what we call the expected power output of a weapon with affinity. It's not guaranteed. For example, that critical hit can land on the most weakest attack that you do, and that level 3 true slash charge could have been a non-crit. Or maybe you land several crits in a row, who knows? But looking at the overall hunt and all the different attacks you might do, we can just say in general, you're going to get 2.5 damage increase for every 10% of affinity that you have. Negative affinity works in the exact same way. A negative crit attack is 75% damage, so with minus 10% affinity, you'd have an expected output of 97.5 attack on a weapon with 100. Sharpness is similar that it's simple multiplication. A blue sharpness means that it does 1.2 times damage, white is 1.32 times, and purple for games like Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate and World is 1.39%. That means that white is a 10% increase in power over blue, and purple is a 15.8% increase over blue and a 5.3% increase over white. You can figure all this out through simple division. Now do keep in mind, if we're going off of expected and absolute power, you'll notice that 20% affinity is about the difference between a white sharpness weapon and a purple one, but keep in mind that the purple is absolute power and attack up boosts like that are absolute power that will always apply, where affinity is a game of chance. Sometimes it'll apply, sometimes it won't. So it'll be above sometimes, it'll be below sometimes. So I would argue if you have a weapon of the same attack power but different sharpness, if the white has 25% or so or better, then it's probably better than the purple one. But just keep in mind the difference between expected power and absolute. So traditionally in Monster Hunter games, the attack boost skill is much more better in the base game, and then Critical Eye takes over as the best skill in the expansion. And that's only because of simple mathematics. The attack boost is giving you a raw attack boost, which is awesome, and it's definitely great to have and it's super powerful, but if you can also put in the same level of Critical Eye, then it's generally better to go with Critical Eye because it is a raw percentage, and when you're working with higher base numbers, it just works out better. And of course, in recent games such as Generations Ultimate or especially Iceborne, we now have skills like Critical Boost, which will augment the Critical Eye and make it even that much more powerful. Monster Hunter Iceborne does actually bloat the numbers, unlike Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, so the numbers you're seeing on the left hand side here are the bloat factors. So basically they took something like a 250 attack weapon would be shown as 1200 attack for Greatsword and 350 attack for Sword and Shield, but they're basically the same power weapon. The idea here is just to illustrate that the general basic attack for a Greatsword is like 3.4 times more powerful than a Sword and Shield, so they just inflated the numbers so that you get a better understanding of the power output of each attack of that weapon. I actually mapped out the numbers because I was really curious, like at what point does critical boost level 7 overtake attack boost level 7 in Iceborne specifically. So I was looking at the Greatsword. If you're running critical boost, it is always better to focus more on Critical Eye if you have the ability to, and the attack one only goes up to something like 180 raw, which is not even like master rank. So most weapons, you're just going to be better off if you have the choice of focusing on Critical Eye over attack. Again, I'm not knocking attack up. I think it's a fantastic skill, and if you have decorations or if you have armor that uses it, then definitely go for it. I'm just saying if you have the choice between the two and you want to be the most optimal, then you're probably going to want to lean towards the Critical Eye. Anyways, just wanted to share these numbers with you. Hopefully this makes it a little bit easier to digest. But basically remember, 10% affinity is like a 2.5 generalized attack boost. It's general because you don't really know, it's kind of a chance. And if you use critical boost, 10% can be either 3%, 3.5%, or up to 4% attack boost in general when talking about expected power. Hope this video guys helped you guys, and until next time, happy hunting.